I'm here to talk about how we managed to enable AI in an NHS organisation, particularly an acute hospital, with Plotly Dash. Responsible for the care of about 500,000 people, got 13 community hospitals, we provide mental health and social care services, and we have a quarter of all the GP practices in Somerset. When we had to start looking for an option to solve all our issues of AI, one of the key ones we had to try and factor in is interoperability. And we're not just talking about interoperability within our own organisation, it's also external organisations. So as a hospital, I need to be able to send the visualisations and the data and the outputs of the models that I make to other hospitals who may not have my software or any compatible software with me. We also have to adopt the principles of reproducible analytical pipelines. So all the things that we create need to be able to ingest, process, model and report in an automated way. So any solution that we would have to find would have to be able to do all four of those things in one package. The only people who seemed to be interested in working with us were people who were trying to sell this concept to us of low-code, drag-and-drop, AutoML. And every single company would come up to us and say, our product's completely unique, and they would all be the same, doing exactly the same. We have thousands of use cases. There's no single one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to trying to create models. So we have over 100 treatment specialties carried out over 100 different sites, with them coming in as outpatients, inpatients, mental health patients, diagnostic theatres, maternity, social care. There are so many different ways that we need to chop and change the data. So we needed something that was going to be completely flexible with the way we worked as an organisation, not something which was being advertised as a single solution. And in our world, the best people to do that is models that are built bespoke by NHS data scientists. So we need to be able to get all those complex data science models and visualizations actually to the users. And that user base is hugely diverse. It's 12,500 staff with all different varying levels of data literacy. I say stumbled on. We've been using Plotly open source for about 4 or 5 years in the graphing libraries. So we knew a lot about what Plotly's sort of business understanding and their transparencies. They've had huge contributions to the open source market. They also had the opportunity to, they gave us the opportunity to natively run whatever we wanted. So in Plotly Dash, it's an application that you can build. You can make it bespoke to exactly what you need. And we've managed to build some models, which I'll come on to in a moment, almost entirely open source, because we can utilize the open source libraries that are available in Python and just combine it with the infrastructure that Plotly provides us. One of the first projects we did was an AI-enhanced emergency care dashboard. So we were stuck in the rut as an organization where we were just doing these static dashboards that provided very little information, and people weren't really using them. So what we decided to do was go down to the emergency department, and we built all of their reporting from scratch. So we made all their reporting as live as it could possibly be. So it's about 20 seconds between the system storing it and getting back to our reports. And then we started to ask them questions about how we could incorporate AI into those models. So one of the ways we did that is when somebody comes into our organisation, a proportion of those will get admitted to our hospital. Unfortunately, as you've probably seen in the news, the NHS is under huge pressure, and there's huge backlogs and people waiting over 4 hours and 12 hours. And that's not what we want as an organisation. So what we tried to do using AI is typically when you come to an ED department, about 3 hours after you get there, if you need to be admitted, that's when the decision to admit will take place. And they'll contact our patient flow team, and the patient flow team will work very, very hard to find you a bed in the hospital. With the AI that we managed to build into the app, when they get triaged 15 minutes in, we built a classification model that would predict whether they were going to be admitted or discharged. So we took that window of 3 to 3.5 hours all the way down to 15 minutes, providing our patient flow team with hours to look for beds rather than minutes. And all that information has now given our emergency department huge amounts of insight into how they can start to try and prevent adverse incidents happening in the future, trying to get those patients flowing through the department much quicker. A member of my team built this amazing app which uses clustering algorithms to work out where we should place services in Somerset based on patient demand and need. And there's other bits built in terms of like understanding our population, social deprivation, understanding travel distances between clinic services so that we can try and reduce our carbon footprint as an organisation by providing services closer to people's homes. We created a causal impact analysis application where anybody could just drop their data into it. It would perform a causal impact analysis. It could also perform a statistical process chart, depending on what type of change they're trying to measure. And there's also hypothesis testing in there as well. But instead of us having to do all those very, very repetitive causal impact analysis studies, we can give the actual staff the ability to do it themselves. And instead of spending the time doing it, we actually can spend time training them in understanding change theory and improving their data literacy with data and data science. And just over the past year, so as I said, we built a statistical process chart application completely in-house. We didn't have to go out for costly third-party providers. We've utilised the SK Time library, and we've built a hospital healthcare-based time series forecasting application, which again was completely open source. There was no additional cost to build that tool. I mentioned also ML at the beginning. We built our own, based in the healthcare system, based on PyCarrot, which is tailored towards the professionals that would actually use it, those healthcare people, those doctors, clinicians, nurses. And we can spend a lot more time with them actually explaining how the machine learning works. And finally, we've been building a simulated demand and capacity modeling using SymPy, again, another open source library, utilizing what's available to us via Python and R, and just having this visualization tool with Plotly Dash to be able to actually get it to the end users. We've always been a Python organization, so the actual skill gap wasn't that big for us. So we went from developing Python standalone sort of things in Jupyter notebooks, and we were trying to get those Jupyter notebooks away from just being on our computers. So the skill sets in the team are all there, and I think the NHS as an industry is starting to move towards using things like Python and R. So I would say it's very, very user-friendly as an app building. It's not huge amounts of JavaScript and then things like that. It's purely in Python. Which the benefit we had with taking sort of that programming-led route with something like Plotly Dash is that we could put all that in code, and we could try to simplify that process. Like all the connections to our data sets are going directly through a warehouse, which is where all our analysts would report. So they're a separate team, the analyst team. We're all reporting on the same data, but we're just utilising the fact that we're a programming-based application, taking it from the same source, doing our own cleaning on it, and all of that's built into the actual application. So whenever we need to make changes, we can just go into our application and adjust it. For the second one of big data, so the ED department is our most critical department in the entire trust. The data that's going through that is huge. It's constantly updating, and we've had no issues. The benefit of Plotly is if our app gets too big, we just give it more resources. And we are not at a stage yet where we've hit that limit. We've got 8 deployed apps and about 20-ish sort of development environments. We're nowhere near the limit at the moment. But it comes down to developers that we should be developing in such a way that your apps are quick and they don't become super intensive. 2 of the people in my team are software engineers by background, so we've got that experience in that.